give a minute for some people to catch up. But basically, what's going on is they're calling this a full-scale event when it's not. Um, and I have to have a lunch break, so I'm working at McDonald's. There's time to eat. Um, so right now, some of the things that's going on in Ukraine is they have a it's not a full-scale invasion. This is not even close to full-scale. I don't know who started calling it that, but that's not true. Um, they're softening things up. They took out the power substations. Then they took over some of the Air Force bases. And after running tanks, they say that there's even troops in Kiev. They put out, I think it's like, I don't know how many thousands they want to call them of the Russian special forces, Spetsnaz. They've got a kill list. They've got the Ukrainian president on it. He says he believes he's number one. He's probably right. So he needs to start a government in de facto somewhere else. But what they're doing right now, though, is they're trying to take over the bases, and I don't understand how come the Air Force wasn't in the air. I don't know how many planes they got when they took that field. But Russia's also flying aircraft over the city and bombing them, and so they basically Ukrainian, I would call them National Guard if you call them that. They took out, it could have been regulars, but I believe it was National Guard, probably using Stingers. They took out two incoming missiles and a Russian MiG. Now it was a very expensive MiG. It was a special MiG. So I think Russia's kind of embarrassed that they lost a really good plane. I mean, it was. When I say this, I'm not talking about the SU. I'm not talking about the old school MiGs. This was different. So they put in their best to try to be stealthy, and they got one taken out. So that just proves that those can be taken out. But they got they have a heavy presence of tanks in a couple of different cities. Then they took over Chernobyl nuclear plant, and Ukraine was saying that there may be nuclear dust all over Europe pretty soon. Well, it's not because of that plant. It's because of the tactical nukes they used, but I don't think they're talking about that. So they need to keep the sensors on over there in Finland and Norway. But anyhow, the end result will be, this will be a short-lived event, like I said before. But they think that they're just going to take over, but they're doing incrementally smaller and smaller movements, and they're calling it military exercises at first, and then military to move the tanks. They lied, and then they said the exercises were longer. How'd I get a like and nobody's in the room, right? Google, get real. So anyways, they extended the military exercises, but before this, they moved their tanks across that bridge. If they had said they were going to war with Ukraine, then someone would have taken out that bridge. That's why they lied there. But this is all about Russia's bluff. Russia's fixing to stop lying. They're going to have to, at least on most of their stuff, simply because, let's see here. Yeah, I got you. Appreciate it. They have now gotten to the point where everyone knows that it is open warfare, and they're going to have to start admitting to it. And once they admit they're at war, then there's going to be a whole nother thing, and someone needs to take over air superiority like now. Like honestly, I think the American Air Force needs to step in and say, okay, so you're doing this. Well, shut off all routes incoming all around. I mean, they've already shut off regular air traffic, is warned anyhow. But they will take out those planes. As I said before, 2 of them will be hit, 1 of them will be spared, and it will be from within and without. That's my knowing. The other part is this. We need to take over the air. Somebody needs to take over the air to keep citizens from being bombed from above, not just from artillery, and also to show Russia, hey, you can't just attack another country with airplanes. That's open warfare. That's not an exercise. So that's why they'll have to start admitting to things. That's why Putin's bluff is now called. And then once he admits to what he's doing, we can respond with the air superiority at some point. I mean, right now we can't necessarily fly over Ukraine. Here's what we can do. We can fly circles around it in a pattern that's like a big flattened out O going around the south. We have the ability to do that, to stop any. I mean, we can shut down the airspace and make it a no-fly zone, like full-on no-fly zone. That needs to be implemented, or they will never win that ground war in defending Kiev. But it'll happen. So we sent more troops into Poland, and they're waiting. But there's a whole other thing. It's gotten now to where not just are they arming the citizens and saying anybody who wants a gun is welcome to have one. They are now putting on the news service in Ukraine, not just telling them they can, but giving directions on how to make a Molotov cocktail to attack tanks. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this. If you're ever attacking a tank, you might want to hit it from the back. That's where the engine compartment is. It has to breathe. It'll go in there. It'll burn out. And then if you're ever attacked by a tank, this is what you do. Because then the inside's on fire and the breathing air, for not just the engine but the people inside, they will leave it. And it will be done. You could take it over later. Or they could, whatever, tow it back. The point is, that's how you take out a tank. And they know it. And now they're teaching it. Molotov cocktail style warfare. That's what's fixing to happen. It's not just going to be an insurgency. Let's see, the U.S. is the only country allowed to invade another country. Yeah, well, we need to go ahead and maybe invade Ukraine, but I can't say we can do that. Now, they need to be, maybe not given NATO membership, but I think that they need to, at the very least, they need to look at it, which this threw me, and I'm going to bring this up now, because right now is the time to bring it up. I was moved to not give this information out. Okay? Now I'm moved to give it out. The New York Times did a report, and I've got it. I saved it. And they said that Ukraine was a member of NATO in good standing. So unless some paperwork has happened under the, behind the wheelhouse there that nobody knows about, and I don't know about, but now know about, that's what they actually reported in the New York Times. Okay? So, having said that, they could be holding that card and say, oh, by the way, we're members of NATO, and now Russia, now you said there is an open war. See, once they call that bluff, then you're open warfare against us? Great, we're a NATO member and in full standing or in good standing or whatever. Because they let it out. I wasn't going to put this up until now. Now's the time to put this up. I'll put a link to that, and you can read it for yourself, saying that NATO, so it was not a typo. This is where government insiders put information out for people to know, but not know, but know, but not know. Okay? So, at the very least, they're a member of the European Union, and they are a partner of NATO, and they help NATO. So right now, there needs to be a ring of fire around Ukraine of air superiority and also a complete blockade of any Russian troops going in, and cut off the ones that are there, and then they'll have a chance to fight those off. That's what needs to happen. There's a lot more things that need to happen. The Black Sea needs to be reopened, because, and here's the thing, since Putin's going to have to admit this warfare, then those ships out there are going to be called war vehicles, and that they're blockading. It's going to have to be named a blockade, not just we're shutting this down for exercises. And then, since they're blockading a country, we can go and say, no, we have trade with that country. You can't and get out of these waters. All the subs will be destroyed. The other ships will kind of get the message and leave and go back to Severomorsk, where they belong. I'm just saying that. Anybody's got anything to say? Sorry, you're just watching the water cam. I'm going to have some fries. You know what I mean? I'm just laying it down for you. So it's Molotov cocktail warfare against any tanks that come in there, and they're all being armed. So for all the people who are peaceniks and don't understand this, you already have a weapon. It's already been assigned for you the day you were born. It doesn't have to be a certain number. It doesn't have to be that exact weapon. But it's waiting for you. So if the U.S. is ever under attack, they'll do the same thing. You will go to the military, or the military will come to you. They will inform you, okay, what's going on. Now, Russia has taken it to a different degree, and in Donbass, anyone from 18 to whatever, any fighting age men, whatever, 18 to whatever, are not allowed to leave Donbass because they want to keep them there, not just so they could be put into the Russian army and conscripted, but also so they're not a danger to the Russians that are there, because they have knowledge of what's going on and they won't let knowledge out, okay? The other thing is Ukraine has basically conscripted all 18 to 60-year-olds. So everybody's in the fight. Right now, a lot of them are hiding in shelters in the main city. It's kind of quiet. There's no battling going on as far as they're concerned right there in Kyiv, but they're all in shelters because they know that they could be bombed from above at any time, and Putin's not going to stop. He's ratcheting it up. You need to think of this as a ratchet winch. He's already clicked another notch from artillery to aerial bombardment. They have missiles that have not exploded that are stuck in people's houses. So the end result is this is not a all-out assault. This is a ratcheting up of the war that it's not stopping. It's not going to stop. Even if he acts like he's going to talk peace again or talk some talks, you could give him Minsk 3, Minsk 4, Minsk 5. You could tell him to draw 4 and take another 7. He wants it all. But they at least had to go after the water, okay? Because honestly, they needed the water. People were getting water 2 times a day over there. So you knew he was going to go for that. But the other thing is, he needs the government to be a puppet government. So that guy needs to go into another country and be he needs to be governing his country from afar, okay? In hiding, or not hiding, what do they call it? In a government in not absentia. There's another word for it. So you know what I'm saying. Basically, something's got to give where he's not in harm's way all the time while they're finishing this up, so they know that they have a government and he can get on television every day. Now, since they took out the power and the Air Force bases have been overrun, a couple of them, I don't know how many, at least one, they need to bomb those bases. They need to take those bases out so the Russians can't use them either. But right now, all of their troops are not in that country. It's not a full-scale war, full-scale invasion. This is not full scale. This is number 2. On the scale of 1 to 10, this is a 2. But they are using, you're going to find out later, it is what it is. They are using tactical nukes. They're using everything they have. They have the right to do anything they want to. They've been given the go-ahead by the Kremlin. Russia has. So there's no good answer right at this moment. There's going to be a whole lot of different variables. As soon as they can get rid of the Navy down in the Black Sea, the Russian Navy, and as soon as they can create a beachhead, because that's where they attacked first. They came in, that was, you know, they came in through there. But they need to first have Russia stop bluffing and tell the reason they're there, and then they can say, oh, well, then those ships are also being used on this war front, and then they can be, well, fair game. So, just like he didn't want to admit it when he was crossing that bridge. So I said this was going to happen. I said it was going to happen back when he said he was leaving years ago. I said it recently, and I'll say it again. Russ is not leaving. But even if you gave him Minsk 5, he wouldn't be happy until there's a different leader in there, and that leader would be in danger if he came back, even on an agreement. So, because he could just take him out and put in his own government and be done with it, and that's their way of doing things. So there's killing teams that are going around that are separate from the army that are looking for certain individuals. The end result will be that once they admit there's war, they will be in a war. Russia will be in a war like they've never seen. It will happen. And this won't be allowed to stand. Now, our sanctions against them is going to eventually, because one little more move, they've already hit Putin personally, but one more move and they'll be out of the SWIFT system. Then they'll be trading all of their fuel and everything else with China, but it's going to take a while to build the infrastructure to pipe that in, and then that might be sabotaged, of course. That's how that works. That's warfare. So it won't be allowed exactly. They're going to be exclusively trading with China, Iran, a few other countries, and Iran doesn't need oil. They got enough oil, they could line their streets with it. China needs it, but it'll take a lot to get it there. And even if they propped them up with Russia losing the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and they're fixing to lose Nord Stream 1. Watch that happen, because they will cut off the European fuel supply. That will happen again. And heat. They have to do it now when it'll be an impact in weather, in winter weather. And then, as soon as they do that, those places will have to find fuel elsewhere. They'll make that happen, even if it all comes on ships, and then they will shut down Nord Stream 1. And they'll say it's no longer a reliable source. So if you don't think that's going to happen, watch for that to happen also. That is the next step for Russia. But they sent in 50 helicopters, and the other day I talked about it, but those helicopters are going to, if you want full scale, when the helicopters come in, and they're fixing to be dropping in paratroopers. Now, Russia's good with paratroopers, dropping in equipment. They can drop in the vehicles for them and everything. So they will be dropping them in soon enough. When that happens, that's when you'll see all the Molotov cocktails and all that garbage go off. And that can be stopped. Those vehicles can be hit. A hole in the radiator, simple enough. Because they'll run it, it'll overheat, it'll burn up. Period. There's not enough antifreeze in the world to take care of what that will do. So one shotgun blast to that will take care of that, but the Molotovs will take care of a tank from the back. And that's what they're actually putting the Molotov thing up on Ukrainian television, saying, hey, listen, here's your list of instructions for the day. If you see a Russian tank, put this and this, do this, light it up, hit them with it, and then there you go. And they're showing everything. It's not going to be an easy win, and Russia's not going to get what they want. So watch for also the helicopters. First, though, before the helicopters, the paratroopers will go in and they'll make landing zones for them, okay? And then after they make some LZs, landing zones, and then they come in, at that point, somebody needs to take air superiority. One of the allied NATO nations needs to get up off its duff and protect from the air, period. And they need to get rid of the naval blockade. I'm sure our Navy's all over that. As soon as we can, that would be taken care of. But I don't know if that will lead to all-out war for the U.S. But at that point, Russia will start punishing countries, if you call it punishment, by using their Russian hackers to take out computer systems of banks, and also they'll probably tell their Spetsnaz forces to go ahead and take out a few more of our power stations. It's been done. I'd have to find that report of it, but it happened so fast. They were professionals. They took out a substation a while back. I think it was in New York. That's what they do. So, and that was just to let their side know, hey, look, we're here. We did something. It got in the news. Russia knew that their people did something, and oh, okay, they're still there. Everything's good. It's like sending up a flare. So, which at this point, there's some American cities seeing flares. They're practicing. Let them do the thing. Don't bother with them. Those are not satellites. Those are flares, military flares. You'll see 3, then 6, and that's kind of how they do them. And they burn out, and then another one burns and burn out. And they shoot up a couple more. They're training. They will be flying over our neighborhoods, and they'll be practicing. Okay, they're practicing bombing runs with airplanes, but they do a lot of that out in the Midwest. But the ones with helicopters practicing how to grid out and secure community dwellings, okay, for warfare like that. So there's going to be a lot of refugees. I would expect a lot of them to come here because Poland can't take them all. They're still dealing with the ones from the Middle East. Those are well, they got the right to work. They're giving them the right to work in different countries, by the way. They're fast tracking their all of their visas are being fast tracked, so that it's like, okay, you can work right away because they're going to need jobs as soon as they get there. But there's going to be some of them that need to leave completely because they'll be on that list, on that want list, and those special forces are not going to stop there. They're going to try to go into Poland and into these areas and catch these people that they're supposed to take out. So watch for that. That's why we're upping our troops there too. They are supposed to filter out or sift out any ne'er-do-wells, any bad seeds that are trying to go into Poland. I expect that to happen. So I think it's about it. We're watching it happen though, and there's a lot of people that are, Some of them think they can stay, and then they'll hit the apartment with a missile, you know. And these are not errand missiles. They're coming off of airplanes that are trained to do this and told what to hit. And those are not dirty bombs that are not guided. They're all guided. So if you see an apartment with a missile in it, they know they were supposed to hit that apartment. That's what's going on right now. That's psychological warfare of it all. So be glad that you're in a place that's not being shot at. God bless you, people. I'm going to get off this thing. I'll let y'all make some comments if you want to here. I want to see the last one here. First day and Russian forces already defecting. Putin way overplayed his hand. Hey, that's actually, that's what I was talking about when I said defectors. I did a video where I said defectors welcome and this and that. I have a knowing, and it may sound odd, and it may sound crazy, but I said that Russian forces were going to defect. That was what I saw. I saw things that were going to happen. I saw those tactical nukes go off. I saw what it looked like it was going to hit. I saw 3 airplanes, but one of them was going to be saved from within and from without. So just like the MH17, only it's going to be different. Because instead of them planning a certain one, they're going to be looking for one and they can't figure out which one it is. That's why they're going to hit 3. Let's see. I think you're completely wrong about the situation. Okay, fair enough. I've been right so far. I'll say that. Not just right, but right to the T. All the way back from the MH17, before anybody said why it was shot down, all the way back to the one that was after that, that was in Iran that they shot down. And I've got proof of it because you could look on Twitter where I sent a message to, I want to say it was the Department of State of U.S., whichever one that said that one was hit. And I said, obviously, they shot down one of their own weapons, and it's time-stamped. Let's see. And the U.S. should stay out of it. Now, that is an opinion, and you have a right to it, and you may be right. I will give you that. I've been right about things that are going to happen. That, I'm almost with you. Except for the fact that right now there's a lot of people huddled in underground tunnels trying not to get killed. So the U.S. is already in it. Yeah, yeah. You see. So, like I said, I'm with you in thought, but in practice, we have to be in it because somebody has to. Someone has to stand up for those who cannot otherwise stand up for themselves. Okay, so but I believe me, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. Like, I don't care what people think about my channel. I tell what happens. You can come, you can go. You're welcome to leave either way. But listen to me when I say this. You're right on one hand, but on the other hand is the people, the children that are walking around with freaking Hello Kitty backpacks and all this, don't understand anything but kindergarten, what Barney or whatever their cartoon tells them on TV, and those indiscriminate bombs are looking to take them out. So there's a humanitarian side we need to be on, and the only way to stop it completely and to stop them from taking over every single other republic is if we're in those other republics, which we are now. We are now in the other republics who have separated, and we are showing we're going to support them, and they in turn are going to support Ukraine. So we're doing to the nth degree what we can to stop people from being killed by people who that is all they're good at, is killing other people. I know it's a big, long, drawn out answer for that, but no, but I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. I completely agree that we should be out of it. But we live in a world that someone has to be in it, or the entire globe will be covered with it. Think of it as a Chernobyl spill. So nothing's going to happen at Chernobyl. They're not going to allow it. Neither side. Obviously, Russia has said, okay, that would be kind of bad. But they are protecting it with tanks right now. But there's nothing going on there. They were fought when they came in that way. But that also shows they don't care about the nuclear radiation that's going to kill those soldiers sitting there in those tanks that are baking in it. Those tanks are steel. Steel absorbs nuclear radiation like a sponge. That's why you have to have metal that's been recycled tested before you make a building out of it. So there's radiation detectors in every single steel mill, okay? Once you understand that, you understand that it soaks it up like a sponge. Those people are baking in those tanks. They don't need an enemy. They're parked next to one. Don't sweat Chernobyl. Chernobyl will take care of itself. They'll have to rotate people in and out and then put them in them same tanks that are going to bake those people even faster, because the rate is higher than you would think all around Chernobyl. So I'm glad Russia's got Chernobyl, that they put people there they can watch that. I'm cool with different opinions. NATO and U.S. got Ukraine into it. Now they have to face each other's side. Well, it's a broader mess than even that, because every single country has their own reason for being in NATO in the first place. Every single country was in their own war that made them say, okay, yeah, for this reason we need to join NATO. Now Trump made them pay their way, but that's kind of, that's neither here nor there. In the end result, NATO is going to have to act in a way that's, for the first time, is going to look like an invasion of Normandy on D-Day. This is going to be massive what they'll have to do. But yeah, no Minsk 4, Minsk 5, nothing of that. But this is not a full-scale invasion like they're saying on the news. This is not full scale. This is 2 on a scale to 10. Of scale of 1 to 10, of full scale being 10. This is 2. If this was full scale, they would absolutely be bombing them from the air, bombing them with artillery. Forces would be encroaching on every single square inch of the country. They're not doing that, but that's because they don't want to have the losses. Okay, but they are taking losses. Russia lost a very expensive aircraft, probably 2 or 3, but they just want to admit to 1. And they're not putting on the news about the nukes yet. You'll hear about that later. There's a lot that, like I said, it will bear fruit. In the meantime, it's going to be a lot of people hiding and a lot of low-scale mess, and they're searching for their list of people to take out so they can put in a new government. If anybody wants to say anything, go ahead. I'm gonna get off this thing. Had to take a lunch break. I'm trying to do too much, but this was necessary. And like I said, be glad that we are not in that situation, but we will likely have some issues with our banking system. Expect it. They already have in some places, but just like we're holding back on full taking out the SWIFT system and full sanctions, we're trying to save what we can to hit them with more later. What's going to happen that's even worse, though, is Germany shutting down that pipeline that they've had so much money into. It just needs permits. At this point, it's pretty much done. They just have to approve the permits, and Germany's just not going to approve the permits. That's hilarious. They went from just helmets to, hey, let's shut them down, And U.S. said that was going to happen, and Russia's like, oh, we got Germany. No, not so much. So, once the border secure, like we should be doing. Well, Russia has a secure border. This is the problem. They want to own a buffer zone of countries around Russia and call that their border. This is the way they've always thought, though. And this is their strategy. China has mountains and a Great Wall. What Russia has is a bunch of other countries surrounding it that would be first hit. So, enjoying the show? Yeah, appreciate that. Well, all it is a water bottle, and listen, I'm low budget right now. I've got to get on my computer, and I've got some lives to do, but I have other things to do first. In a few days, I'll wind up dealing with likely some snow again. So, I'll try to go live on that then. Ukraine is no threat to Russia, no more than Poland has already. Yeah, and guess what? Poland is now armed to the teeth. There's that. And there's also B-52s in Europe and England. And there's also, there's a whole lot more. Raytheon needs to ramp up what they're doing. They're doing what they do. And I would like to know exactly what took down that aircraft. Because if it was a Stinger, that's just awesome. I mean, if they took out the most expensive Russian airplane ever with an N, Yeah, I'd like to know if it was a stinger. I dig it. That's double tough. That's somebody. That's like about like an old farmer with a shotgun that's just tired of bombers going overhead, and he shoots the shotgun, and every single shot hits individually, you know, 15 or 20 fuel tanks of 15 or 20 airplanes, and they all go flying down. That's the level of luck and skill and strategy and the good weapon that somebody would have to take out a stealth Russian fighter jet bomber that basically with a stinger. That's double tough. Whoever did that, that guy gets a marksmanship award. He's just been promoted. That's all I'm saying. He went from private to at least sergeant first class. I think they took down several helicopters, yeah, and a number of tanks. Yeah, I was going to get into that. I didn't know what the number of the helicopters was. I know that the Molotov cocktails is not what took out the tanks. That would have been the there's three different systems, but one of them I'm kind of partial to, and so the javelin, that's what took out those tanks. They popped the tops off like a cork. Just saying. So, but the Molotov cocktails are for when they go into the city streets, and there are some city streets where they are, and those people will get the word. So, hence Russia shutting down anybody 18 to whatever, what they call fighting age, leaving Donetsk, and also that Ukraine has employed everyone, that they are all now conscripted. 18 to 60, and you're in the military conscription of Ukraine. So, which is a good thing, but just understand that that's how countries are defended. And that's how you wind up with your weapon. The one that's already been assigned to you, you just don't know it yet. Watch 3 tanks go poof. Hey, drop a link to that, bro. We want to see. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen that. I heard about it, but I didn't see the video. So, yeah, they do that all the time. There's Russian tanks all over Afghanistan. Afghanistan is kind of like Texas. Only instead of cactuses, they've got burnout Russian tanks. And they actually kept their artillery, so that's why they had machine guns on tripods and all the Kalashnikovs, either way. But now Ukraine's got a new Kalashnikov, and they showed it off too. It's the brand new one, and it's right there on par with an AR, only don't jam, no issues, you know. So, and they're fully auto, so everybody there is armed to the teeth. Russia does not know what they're, but the only way that this is going to work is if they actually take out and make a no-fly zone. We need a no-fly zone over there. And they waited till all the soldiers were right on the side of the last one before they pulled the trigger. Yeah, that's what I was talking about too. I talked about that in a different video. I said, if you think that you're walking next to a tank, that you're going to be saved, you're not. Because if the explosion doesn't blow you up, just the shrapnel ricocheted off the tank. So you're not safe next to a tank. You're part of the big target. Tanks are just big targets. Think of tanks as a cardboard box that makes you feel safe while you're in it. That's about it. Everything is, nothing is impervious. Nothing. And they can put racks on top of them all they want. But like he just said, he watched tanks go poof. You could put a rack on it. You could put a camper on it. You could put, seriously, you know, you could put a generator on the back and live in it, and put an air conditioner in it. It's just another box. And then when you go, everybody gets a wooden box. So it's sad right now because of what's going on, but the end result will be, like I said before, there'll be a lot of Russian soldiers going home in boxes, and they won't be the tanks they came in. They made a mistake. This incursion, it's basically people there have been given permission by their government to defend their land. They'll do it to the nth degree, and even if it's a insurgency, you know. Like I said, though, I want to get off this thing. People do what you do. Drop a link in a comment when this thing goes as a video so people can see those tanks blow up. I haven't looked that up yet. I heard about it and I read about it, and there's some things I know about. So, like I said, it's just know it's going to be, in the grand scheme of things, it'll be a short-lived event. They've already spent 8 years over in Donbass and basically Luhansk and Donetsk regions of Donbass. They've already spent 8 years doing it, but that's a long time. This will not be that long. And Russia's fixing to get, financially and otherwise, they're going to have a black eye, and they're going to have, it's just going to be so bad because they talked all this and then whatever, and they don't even have the people's support. Because there's even people who are standing in the streets with picket signs against the war in Russia. I'm going to get off this thing. God bless you, people. And it's a good thing we're not in that situation, so we can help people who need help. That's all I got. I'm out. Peace.